We're going to work one more stab, then we're going to go into feints. Feints are great ways to open up for stabs. The cross shoulder stab. This is really low percentage. It's not a terribly great thing to do. It's sort of limited in utility, but you should know how to do it because every once in a while it comes in handy, and when you do it, it looks good. So, and people will attempt to do it to you and probably stab you in the face. All right. This is really pretty straightforward. This is almost universally 100% sword and shield shot. There's not a whole lot of need for this if I'm Florentine or, I guess, single sword. There's some instances where you can do it, but I can't think of what they might be. Alright. I'm sword and board. Huh? Surprise. Anything can be effective if they really just don't see it coming, but generally speaking. I find if I jiggle my shield a little bit low, they'll either try and drop and match me, or they'll throw high on the shoulder, which is fine either way. As soon as the sword moves out, or as soon as they start going down, come up. I'm going to drop my shield so you can see what I'm doing, but I have a shield there. I'm going to come up, come around, come in tight, get a really nice tight angle on it, and rotate my hips towards Ken.
Yep. We want to turn the other way so they can actually see it from this angle.
Sure, I'll stab you again.
You don't want to see him stab me again? There you go.
Better you than me.
All right, go ahead with your shield.
It's free.
I can. All right, so I'm starting up here. Again, I'm going to drop my shield or jiggle it down. I'm trying to get him to swing. I'm trying to get him to lower his shield. I'm trying to get him to open up just a little bit and not be paying attention to what I'm doing because this shot is not the fastest in the world. And as soon as he does that, coming up and blocking, coming up, getting as tight and as pretty much vertical as I can, and then rotating my hips and pushing down.
I think we got the sound on that one.
Yeah.
You did?
No.
Get power from that.
Yeah, anything involving your hips and your shoulders, you're going to get good power from.
That's all I teach in my class over there.
Yeah.
Body mechanics, how to hit people with your hips.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can generate a lot of power hitting people with your hips. Yeah, it's nice. Okay, so does everyone think they can do this to Kent?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna practice on him. Sweet.
No, we're not all going to practice on Kent. All right, break up in separate groups. Be with someone you haven't been with so far. That's the cross shoulder stab. It's a lot of fun. You can knock people down. You can knock people back. You can turn them around. Kind of limited in application.
A slinky, a slinky.
Looking for a cross shot when you're like this?
No, it's because there's a long way to go, and it's a very small target area.
Yeah,
So people are moving, it's difficult.
Yeah, she had a tiny little target area like this big.
Well, she's a small person in general,
Yes, she
but
is.
yeah. If you're taller than your opponent, this is one of the ones where it helps.
Woohoo!
Okay. It is harder to do this on someone who's much taller than you, but it's still possible. And it is much easier to do this if you're much taller than your opponent, but it's still possible to fuck it up. Alright. So, anyone notice anything about this? Have any feedback about the shot, about the concept?
A lot more power when it's solid, and it's all bone contact.
It is. There's not a lot of squishy mass there. It's all muscle or bone. And when you get it flat, like I was working with her, if you get the tip flat so it doesn't skip or scrape, it all goes straight into them, and you just reel back. If you could hit them with that before whatever shot connects that they're doing, that shot that they're throwing is not going to connect. It's going to fly off into the ether because you've knocked them down. All right. Not that I advocate knocking people down unless it's effective. Kent, what did you think?
I think my shoulders are a little sore. But I think it worked out really well. It's a little weird for me because I'm not used to that much hip motion. But it's actually just pulling yourself back to a natural stance, so the hip motion comes a lot easier than it has for a lot of the others.
You're going like this, and then you're just squaring them.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the power comes from the squaring. Anytime you need to generate power, it's from the hips. Most of your power will come from the hips. You can get a lot out of your shoulders as well. But that's why women actually can generate just as much power as a guy. They just need to use the body mechanics to do it right. Okay? Women, for whatever reason, tend to swing more from just the arm, the wrist, and the elbow. Guys tend to swing more with the shoulder, and since they have more mass and more muscle mass by ratio, they tend to hit a little bit harder if they're just using their shoulder. But if everyone's using the hips like they should, everyone generates a lot more power, and it's about the same between the sexes. Loptr, your opinions?
I'm enjoying it. I'm going to have some lovely bruises. I want to thank you personally for that. I'm finding I'm going to have to be careful because I have a tendency to either miss a shot or stab him in the throat, and that comes down to point control.
Yeah. Word of caution. Practice these on your friends first.
Stabbers don't have friends.
It's true, stabbers don't have friends, so practice this on the people who think that they're your friends.
Gotcha.
Right, and then they'll realize that really they're not, otherwise why would you be stabbing them in the throat?
I suppose one drill similar to that I've read about, you suspend a tennis ball from a string or whatever, and you can stab the tennis ball in the throat, so I can learn where the throat is and go to the left of it.
Okay. Yeah, that does work. It's not as visually exciting for me as a fall back to the floor, but it does work. Other things that actually work really well is if you have a heavy bag, which a lot of people don't have, but I've got one. You just mark out a spot on the heavy bag and stab that. Mark out a spot on the wall, and as long as you get the angle right, it's the same thing. Okay, all of these stabs that we're doing are exactly the same motion. They just go in slightly different places. It's easier to teach them as different shots. It's easier to conceptualize and grasp. But once you do them for a while, you go, it's really just stabbing. Stabbing is stabbing is stabbing is stabbing. That's it for stabs.